Hello, this is World University and Schools Hangout on Air on Monday, October 29th, 2018. And as we wait for potential people to join, I'd like to share a little bit about some upcoming projects, developments, courses, and new social science methods at World University and School. So I just gave a talk at UC Berkeley in the anthropology department on Friday at focusing on Harbin Hot Springs and avatar bots, robotics, and tourism. And this opens up potentially many interesting creative opportunities for students, both wiki learners as well as matriculated students for our second undergraduate class in the autumn of 2019, as we begin to matriculate, as we begin to accredit with the state of California's Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education, and also potentially with WUaS Senior, Western Association of Schools and Colleges. And this area of focus, both Harbin Hot Springs and avatar bots, are remarkable both field site examples in a course, for example, but also working with digital media, avatars, and in virtual field sites. Think Google Street View, where Einar Öberg, a Swedish coder in 2014, 2015, he created Brick Street View for Lego bricks in Google Street View. So in this potential creative course and learning opportunities, it will be possible to explore in something like Google Street View as a field site for science and social science and literature, making things out of Lego in Brick Street View, so virtually, that also have a physical Lego correlation. And so you potentially will be able to do Lego robotics with Lego Mindstorms EV3 and Lego We Do 2 in Brick Street View in Google Street View. And your Lego robots may be able to explore the field of Google Street View and even add things. And to this end, I hope to teach a course on programming with robotics for anthropologists, for example, but potentially for many other learners and in other areas of academia. And also potentially around questions of tourism, but many other academic disciplines. So this creative opportunity of World University and School and courses with physical Lego and virtual Lego and for creating robotics is emerging within the field of tourism studies, but also in potentially many other fields. And the world's the limit, the sky's the limit in Google Street View for most academic disciplines. It relates to Google Earth, and you could get into geology virtually with robotics, actual and virtual robotics. So this is one aspect of World University and Schools news. Out of this approach of thinking in terms of programming with robotics for anthropologists in the field and in water, Harbin Hot Springs warm pools are the hypothetical water environment I have in mind for exploring many aspects, social scientifically and science-wise, of being at Harbin in that milieu creatively. I'm also focusing on a new social science method I'm calling Ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy. So ethnography, an interpretive process of peoples. It's one way of considering it, using a method of participant observation in a digital turn here. And wiki is a Hawaiian word for fast. Think Wikipedia in its 300 languages. People in the Wikipedia movement can add their own knowledge to Wikipedia articles, again in 300 languages. And in Ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy, the wiki aspect is something that allows us to add other things in the social science method, say photos, images, but also even new forms of knowledge generation, representation in virtual worlds. So that's the other component of Ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy: ethnography, wiki, virtual worlds. And out of that, the possibility of crowdsourcing, and in some ways, computer modeling into a Google Street View. So many different kinds of computer modeling in so many areas already have been created in the information technology revolution. How they might come together in a hypothetical Google Street View, Google Maps, Google Earth. Google Street View has Time Slider. The Google platform also has Translate. It has Google Brain. It has TensorFlow as AI software. So there's a remarkable virtual world basis that can help further creativity and knowledge generation, and eventually for academic reasons too. We can create courses for this, and this can lead to potentially degrees and careers that further a conversation around both creativity and knowledge generation, and the revenue that might emerge from this as well, both careers and in universities, and the usefulness that knowledge creation has in creating goods and services, and new ways of helping people in all 200 countries and all 7,000 languages, potentially achieve a better lifestyle, move out of poverty, increase their incomes. So this World University and School creative opportunity for both taking MIT OpenCourseWare courses, for example, the Lego course from 2007 in MIT OpenCourseWare, but also exploring from home, potentially Lego robotics. So matriculated undergraduate students at World University and School could get a Lego WeDo 2 kit in the mail, and there could be 10 people in Google Group Video Hangout, all taking this 2007 Lego course from MIT OpenCourseWare. And they could then have another course with Lego Mindstorms EV3 and build further robots creatively, open-endedly. These could correlate with Brick Street View, Google Street View, so you could have virtual robots and virtual Lego robots, and the design potential with, say, the Scratch drag and drop programming language for both the physical Lego robots and the virtual Lego robots, especially on the virtual side. The design potential opens remarkably because of the other coding opportunities that could be brought in. On the physical side too, the design opportunities open remarkably because you have the physical world in which a robot that has programming that you create out of Lego might move around in a variety of contexts and interact and create new problems and challenges that you could code for in these early robots that you make out of Lego. So one possible avenue for programming with robotics for anthropologists in the field and in water might be over a 10-week course with Lego robotics. The first week to make a VW bus that out of Lego. And Lego already has sort of static VW bus kits, but you could make this with robotics and move it and begin to design it much more interactively, robotically. And this potentially code it both in Google Street View, Brick Street View to make the trip up 2.5 hours from the San Francisco Bay Area to Harbin Hot Springs. Or if you're living in Japan, or if you're living in Sweden, or if you're living in Brazil, make the trip all the way from your countries to Harbin Hot Springs. This is sort of brainstorming hypothetically. So in the second week, you might make a robot with Scratch drag and drop programming language that could actually check in at the Harbin Hot Springs gate as if you were a visitor coming to visit Harbin for 24 hours, and you just wanted to check in the gate and then find your way into Harbin. The third week, you could design this robot with a water focus, soak in the Harbin warm pool, and possibly to begin to do WUaS, water shiatsu, just in seed form. Perhaps the Lego robot Mindstorms, which is waterproof, could move a little bit as if it were swaying in the wind. And this would create the opportunity to code it, subsequently in other ways for WUaS, water shiatsu, water dance. The fourth week, you could make your robot set up a camp to sleep outside, put up a tent on a platform. And both the physical robot out of Lego and also a virtual robot, Lego robot in Brick Street View and Google Street View. So to come to a close here, it's possible people will still join us. I invited about 10 people, but since the potential is so enormous for creating interesting beginning robots that might begin to do even social science, conceptually, idea-wise, say an anthropology of Harbin Hot Springs, and with potentially this new method I'm calling Ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy. I just want to share some examples in the YouTube video recording below it of 2 recent Twitter posts of one of a world made, a model train world in Hamburg, Germany, where there's even little Google cars, so miniature, 1 or 2 inch Google cars, and everything works. The trains go around this Hamburg model train city. There are about 200,000 little people, residents, and police cars go out in response to calls. And amazingly, they've added this realistic modeling of Hamburg model train physical to Google Street View. This isn't Lego scale. This is a model train scale. It might be S gauge. It might be something like that. But they've begun to add it to Google Street View for development purposes. That's a beginning of, it's just basically images in Google Street View that I saw when I looked earlier. But I think that'll improve and move towards interactivity and potentially robotics even. The other is with LiDAR sensors for LiDAR sensing technology for vehicles and things, where this one particular LiDAR sensor can create what you see is an image of a street with pedestrians crossing the street, and then the LiDAR sensor creates a parallel realistic virtual world of what a automatic vehicle, self-driving vehicle, might see and avoid. So I think the LiDAR sensor, this particular one, translates from video of the street to some sort of AI that a car could use to avoid, for example, hitting pedestrians. But if you could create interactive avatar bots out of that LiDAR, that LiDAR sensing, so another step, interactive avatar bots, like in something like Second Life, but the LiDAR sense ones are realistic, they aren't cartoonesque. You could, and then add it all to Google Street View, you would have the beginning of a new approach to ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy, I think. So the Hamburg model train world 200,000 residents, trains that move, everything else that moves, added to Google Street View, I think is a great example of ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy that's STEM even, and that's potentially modular. You could turn the little people in this Hamburg model train model eventually into robots. And then the LiDAR 2 gives you translation sort of technology that allows you potentially to go to a kind of second set of realistic images that are sensible by a car, so they are related to artificial intelligence. So I would love to show these in this video, in this Hangout right now. But I think I'll just post some of these links from Twitter with these 30-second movies of the Hamburg model train and the LiDAR sensors as also examples of a kind of ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy. There's a realistic interpretation of Hamburg into a model train scenario. So that's a kind of realistic ethnography. And they wiki added it. They added it to Google Street View. So the wiki part is, in many ways, these model trainers fairly quickly, wiki means fast, adding their model, their model train model to Google Street View. And so that's the virtual world aspect. And the LiDAR sensing technologies of both images of people crossing the street and what it does with that, creating something cars can avoid in a second set of images that might have AI associated with them or machine learning, could be emerge into a kind of basis for ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy. And also, additionally, just to close with a significant further aspect, the LiDAR sensing technologies could lead to the creation of a realistic virtual Earth with avatar bots that correlate, direct correlation with the physical world, and that, you know, are machine learning and AI informed and have significant benefits to the physical world. In the one example from this Twitter post, which I'll post below this YouTube video, there's something that autonomous vehicles would use to avoid hitting people. So very significant benefits. So that all of this programming with robotics for anthropologists and this ethno-wiki-virtual-world-graphy could further inform a developing realistic virtual Earth. Think Google Street View with Time Slider, Google Maps, Google Earth, and at the cellular and atomic levels is wondrous and amazing and really great. So that's a little bit of the creative potential ahead with World University and School. We're seeking 100 to 500 undergraduate students from your homes, from all around the world, in beginning matriculating in the autumn of 2019 for a 4-year undergraduate degree. And we'll be exploring robotics and programming in creative ways and in a realistic virtual Earth. Thanks. This is Scott McLeod and World University and School's Monday live Hangout on Air, where you can join and share ideas, ask questions, make suggestions. And we'll meet again next week. I think it's November 5th, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1700 hours, Universal Coordinated Time, the Google Hangout. Posting these Hangouts announcements at the Twitter feed for World University and School, twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. And look forward to talking with you one of these upcoming Mondays. And thank you. info@worlduniversityandschool.org if you have questions or thoughts. Bye for now.